A federal judge has thrown out a counter defamation lawsuit that was filed by Donald Trump against writer E. Jean Carroll, who, as you're probably aware, recently won her sexual abuse suit against him earlier this year. She will be, apparently, appeals notwithstanding, getting millions of dollars from Donald Trump. Well, he has continued to deny his wrongdoing, even following him being found guilty. And he's appealing the $5 million verdict. At one point, he was asking for $10 million from her. So anyway, he says that the reason he can do a counter defamation lawsuit is after the guilty, the result of the case, she went out in public and said that he had raped her, even though the jury did not find him specifically legally liable for actually having raped her. They just found that he had sexually abused her. Well, Lewis Kaplan is the US District Judge, and just yesterday said that the jury did find Trump liable for sexually abusing Carroll. And the details of that finding show that her having maintained that Trump raped her colloquially is substantially true. The judge noted that the definition of rape he'd given the jury was the quote, narrow technical meaning of that term specific to New York law, which defines rape as forcible penetration with the penis. The judge said the sexual abuse finding shows the jury believed Trump forcibly penetrated Carroll with his fingers. The verdict establishes, as against Mr. Trump, the fact that he raped her, albeit digitally rather than with his penis. Thus, it establishes against him the substantial truth of Miss Carroll's rape allegations. So his counter defamation lawsuit has been found to not have standing because what she has said is not defamation, because it is true, at least according to this US District Judge. It's an interesting little wrinkle, AB. What do you make of it?
Yeah, so I would say that's an interesting one, right? And that's a part of legal education that becomes complicated because there can be different definitions of things. But I also think like part of defamation is proving damages and proving that you were harmed in whatever that person said, whether it be your reputation, right? Especially when you are a known person in the media, there are extra elements you have to meet for that. And I think in this particular case, he doesn't meet all the elements. And what damages have you suffered because you still getting money from your followers and supporters to help you with your campaign, and you are still the front runner. And so I don't see where your reputation has taken a hit at this point, although it should. And so with that being said, under those elements, I do think that you don't have a countersuit for defamation at all.
Yeah, that is such a fascinating situation we're in, where there's like two levels to it. So it would seem difficult for his reputation to be able to be hurt because anybody who cares about his history of sexual harassment and abuse already knows about it. And honestly, he brags about all of the indictments and the charges and all that. So he seems to believe it's actually helping him. And his counter defamation lawsuit had to do with a comment that she made the day after the lawsuit was finalized. But that same day, he went on a town hall and bragged about the case himself. So clearly he didn't think that public conversation about it was gonna hurt him. So anyway, he's just such a unique person to be involved in a case like this, where both as a philosophical matter, but also likely realistically, it does not actually hurt him that he is found to have sexually abused this woman. It seems utterly irrelevant among his fan base, which sucks, by the way.
I mean, when you're talking about somebody who's going to be, or who could potentially be the next president of the United States of America again, unfortunately, that's a dangerous position to be in. But let's not forget the grab them by the punani comments, right? So, I mean, in all those things, in defamation, you have to prove that the allegations are not true. Truth is a defense to a defamation. So if what she said was true, in the least bit, even if she lied, for example, right? Because we have been confirmed that lying is your First Amendment right? But even if you feel like she lied, where were you harmed is my issue. And if you can't show harm from that, then at this point, like, just let it go. You're being petty.
Yeah. Well, they will, if the choices you're giving them are let it go or be petty, well, they've already chosen. They've chosen pettiness. So Alina Habba, Trump's attorney, who again, I believe does real estate law, but is for some reason involved in questions of overturning the results of an election and sexual assault. Okay, says we strongly disagree with the flawed decision and will be filing an appeal shortly, which I have no doubt that they will do. E. Jean Carroll was very courageous for being willing to have this relitigated in public, and might have to wait literally years if she ever gets that money, but we will see.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.